Have you ever had this thought? You're like, all right, this is the year. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna have a garage sale. And you're like, because you're like, I don't know, being overwhelmed by your possessions, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so you finally start going through your boxes and your stuff, and maybe some of that stuff you haven't seen even, let alone used in 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. But as soon as you start opening those boxes, the value of those things just comes washing over you. And you're like, there's no way I can part with this. I know I haven't used it in 10 years, but what if I need it? What if I need it in this next year? I mean, I'm in my 3rd year right now at St. Peter's. I still have boxes I have not unpacked. They're in the garage. And if you were to say to me, Father Ben, go through those boxes and give stuff away, probably what would happen is this. I'd start to open the boxes, I'd look at the possessions I own, and I'd go, there's just no way I'm giving this away. I know I haven't even opened it. I know it has no relevance to my life, but it's mine, you know? We are not good at judging the value of things until sometimes we're in danger of losing them. It appears that we're going to lose them, or we've lost them. We even sing like this. You don't know what you got till it's gone, right? Like, you and I, as soon as we think we're going to lose something or we've lost it, all of a sudden we start to realize the value of it. Maybe you've had this experience in your health where you've been really healthy, and then all of a sudden your health turns a corner. Or you know someone in your life where they've been healthy and they get injured or sick. And then, like, the value of health, which we can so easily take for granted, all of a sudden becomes so apparent to us. It can happen in our relationships. Maybe there's a certain person in your life or a few people in your life where you just have a good relationship and things are going along and you kind of just take it for granted, and then all of a sudden it appears that you might lose them or they are lost. And then it just hits you on how valuable they were to you. On Friday, I'm part of this group, and we get together and we talk about our life, and we see where is Christ in our everyday life in comparison to a text that we've been reading. And one woman shared how she brought a meal to a young couple that just gave birth to their first child. And I know this woman and I know this couple. And I did not know the full extent of the situation, and neither did she. She thought she was just bringing a simple meal to a couple just like you normally do, say congratulations, move on. When she got there, she hadn't realized that the mother and the child had almost just died. The father, I didn't realize that either until she said that. The father had like an intuition, a prompting of the Holy Spirit to say, I need to bring my wife to the doctor like right now. And he did. And if he wouldn't have, she and the baby would have died. And then even though she was in ICU for a week, the mother still almost died. And this woman who was just going to bring this simple meal to this couple, congratulate them, whatever, was so struck by how this couple treated her. Here this woman and her child almost just died. And they were so joyful. And even though like they were talking and stuff, they wanted to know how she was doing. And it just really blew this woman away. And she's like, who are these people that live this way, basically? And then this woman has 3 kids of her own. And all of the value of those kids just like came right at her. And she realized she could lose her children. She could lose her children. And just the value of them, like, oh. And maybe you've had this experience with your own life, where you have a very near-death experience. In the first reading that we heard about, there are 7 brothers. We only hear a part of it. There are 7 brothers and a mother. And what's so amazing about these people is they're being tortured, they're being harmed, and they're about to lose their life. And they recognize that there's actually something else they can lose other than their life. And that's their relationship with God. And what's so amazing about these people is when they hold both of them together, they recognize the value of their own lives and they recognize the value of their relationship with God. And when they look at both of them, they say, my relationship with God is more valuable than even my own life. And not only do they do that, but even their own mother, who's witnessing the loss of her own children right before her eyes, listen to what she says. Do not be afraid of this executioner, but be worthy of your brothers and accept, so that in the time of mercy I may receive you again with your brothers. She's saying to one of her sons, do not be afraid of this executioner, but be worthy of your brothers and accept, so that in time of mercy I may receive you again with your brothers. Don't you dare give up your relationship with God, because I will see you again. Don't you dare give up your relationship with God to save this life. And it's implied that if you do give up your relationship with God, I won't see you. You see, all of us are going to die. All of us are going to lose this life. But not all of us are going to lose our relationship with God. See, all of us are going to die, but not all of us are going to die with a relationship with God. Jesus says, when you die, you'll be like angels. You'll be like angels, which can't die. Angels can't die. So today, you and I, we get to take this time today and throughout this week to reflect on, what do you value? What do you value? Do I value my relationship with God? Do you value your relationship with God? All of us are going to die. But will you die with a relationship with God? You know, in our current culture, in the West at least, especially in America, atheism is like growing, especially among young people, it seems. And recently, Joe Rogan, who is the fourth most popular podcast in America, interviewed Christopher Dawkins, an atheist, about his new book, Outgrowing God. And he intentionally wrote this book for young people. For young people. So that they too could become an atheist. So that they too could think for themselves. And if we're presented with this, if there's no God, if there's no afterlife, then what we heard in the first reading is totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Because if there's no there and then, and all there is the here and now, why in the world would you ever die for anything? You would cling to this life. This is all you have. And oftentimes it seems part of the new atheism is this apparent conflict they think there is between faith and science. Like, this is kind of how it can go. You know, for most of humanity, literally most of humanity, for most of the centuries we've been on this planet, we've believed in God. Someone's believed in a higher power, something like this. But we only needed that. We only needed the thought of God because science, empirical science, hadn't developed enough. But now that it's more developed, they say, now that science is better, we can leave behind the idea of God. We no longer need it because we have science. And so what happens among young people, your children, your grandchildren, is this. They think that faith and science are incompatible. Faith and science are incompatible. It's one of the biggest reasons why young people leave the church. They think faith and science is incompatible, that you only can choose one. And so guess which one young people are choosing? Science. But are faith and science incompatible? Are faith and science incompatible? Do you have to choose one or the other? This is the question I explored with the 8th graders for a few weeks. Is faith and science, are they compatible? Are they incompatible? And I'll just give you a simple answer now, but wouldn't it be so fruitful if something new came up at St. Peter's and we discussed faith and science together? Oh, it'd be incredible. It'd be incredible. Yes, they're compatible. They are compatible. If you look at the history of the Catholic Church, and if you look at science, just do a simple Google search, Wikipedia it. How many inventions, discoveries, scientific contributions came not just from people of faith, but from priests, religious. And we're not just talking about about seismology and stuff. We're even talking about beer, wine. The goodness of beer was perfected by people of faith, by people who believed that there was a life after this life. That's why we drink beer now, because there's no beer then. Do you know that song? Just kidding. Just kidding. It's a great song. It's a polka, okay? Seriously, it'd be so fruitful for your spiritual life. Google search, Wikipedia search, how many scientific contributions people of faith have made. It is incredible, incredible. Maybe some young people here want to be scientists, and they think, shoot, can I be a Catholic and a scientist? Yes. Can I be a medical doctor and a scientist? Yes. Can I be an engineer and a Catholic? Yes. Can I be a mathematician, a chemist, a neuroscientist, a psychologist? Yes. Will you have to do some serious navigating because atheism has infected all of those? Yes. You don't have to set aside your brain when you become a Catholic. Praise God. When you walk through those doors, you did not see a sign. If there is a sign, please tell me, because I will take it down. The sign that said, turn your brain off, you're about to go into a Catholic church. Make sure you turn your brain off, you're about to go to Mass. And do you know, I was just talking with some high schoolers last night about turkey bingo about this. It's just assumed in high school that faith and science are incompatible. It's just assumed. And if you believe they aren't, you look dumb, foolish, backward. Just like these people. As a priest, I'm super blessed to walk with people who suffer, to cry with them, to journey with them, to pray with them. Have you ever met someone who's really suffered? Maybe that's even you. Have you ever heard people who've really suffered say something like this? I just don't know how people do it who don't have faith. I just don't know how people do it if they didn't have faith. It is so true. But faith is not a coping mechanism. Being a Catholic is not a coping mechanism. God did not reveal himself so that you could cope with your suffering. God revealed himself to us so that you could have a relationship with him here and after, forever, so that you could be like an angel that will never die. Faith definitely helps you when you suffer because it fills you with hope. Can science fill you with hope? They're compatible, for sure. But can it fill you with hope in the face of cancer? Can it fill you with hope in the face of chronic illness? Can it fill you with hope after your loved one has gotten into a car accident? Jesus Christ risen from the dead can. We're a Christian. We're a Christian not because we turned off our brain. It's because we turned it on. We turned on our brain, and we discovered that when you line it all up, there is no other explanation than that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. And moved by God's grace, we say yes to that. And so, today, you and I, we get to examine, what do you value? What do you value? What would it mean for you if you lost your relationship with God? Would you be willing to lose everything to keep that?